There it is. Okay. Hello, everyone. We're painting some Terminators today. I didn't. I didn't disappear. I was figuring everything out. It's my first time. It's my first day. But yeah. Hi. Welcome to, I guess, a new painting streaming channel here on the Night Cafe. Uh, I'm Genei, and I do some painting. I do some talking. Um, and yeah. And if you're here, thanks for joining me. Whew, I'm so nervous. My hands are shaking. But my description does say that I am here to also complain about knights. Imperial Knights. For that record. For those of you who don't know, I've been in a sort of like, not quite a crusade, but a bunch of linked games that are connected through just like a story of a crashed Tyranid ship onto a Imperial Knight world. I won my first game, but I've been really struggling into Knights in general as a Tyranid player. Knights are what we call a stat check army. They have a lot of high toughness, and Tyranids have difficulty dealing with high toughness. So it's been a real uphill struggle with that. My very first game against them, I actually used Invasion Fleet because you get all those lethal hits. But since then, I've been trying out different detachments. Because I don't want to just use, like, the best detachment, the tournament build and everything. I want to be able to have fun with my army and try, like, different things out all the time. But it does, like, against something like Knights, it does leave something to be desired, and I'm a little sad about that. A little sad, a little salty. For those of you in the chat, is my music coming through, actually? This is all new setup I'm doing through OBS. And yes, the Knight player, Hermit Druid there, it was his very first game too. That was part of it. He didn't remember that Knights have built-in rerolls, which, like, man, built-in rerolls are they're tough. They're flippin' tough to deal with. As of right now, I'm just putting some, for these Terminators, how I've painted them, and it's how I paint the majority of my Alpha Legion. I sprayed them with, like, bolt gun metal, and then I inked them with a purple shade. So I used a purple shade on them. I think it's Druki Violet is what I ended up using. And then I dry brushed them with, I believe it's actually a really old old pot of chainmail. And that's how I get this, like, nice silver base to work off of. And what that does is it actually gives the paint a metallic look. Yeah, it's a lot of rerolls per turn as a Knight player. Games Workshop truly is holding your guys' hand. I don't know why you need hand holding when your entire army is full of, like, toughness 12 models. I know it's because you have few units and it means that you get the most out of your units. But something actually I've been meaning to figure out. So their Knight's army rule is the whole, like, honored thing, right? Is the army rule the rerolls, or is the army rule the feel no pain? attachment is feel no pain. So the rerolls are just built in, is what you're saying. That's their army rule, meaning that when the new codex comes out and all that stuff, they're probably keeping the rerolls. Mostly because I don't think knights are actually they don't do so hot in tournaments, and that's because while they can steamroll over a faction like Tyranids, they really struggle into something that can actually like kill vehicles. Like AdMech. I play AdMech sometimes too. And vehicles aren't a problem with AdMech. They have heavy grav cannons that have anti-vehicle 2-up. Oh, I slipped up there. Actually, if you slip up with your paint while painting trim, just get your finger in there and rub it off. Cleans it right up. Acrylic paint is real versatile to use. And it's like mostly non-toxic. I don't know. I've been playing 40k for a very long time, and back in the early 2000s, the way I was taught to get a point back on your brush when you lose your point is to just lick it with full paint on and everything. Just stick it in your mouth, give it a lick. It was a different time. Sorry. The attachment is feel no pain. You can get rerolls of +1 to movement and honored. You must paint Lead Belcher with raw lead paint. It's fine, we're all full of microplastics, and acrylic paint's just another kind of microplastic. I have a lot of contrast pooling on this foot here, or this leg, so I'm just gonna soak it up with my brush and apply it to the foot. Hello, Boris! Welcome to the stream. But, by the way, I don't think I ever got an answer, but is the music actually coming through or no? It really comes down to the modeling question. So for my Chaos, because I don't have a steady enough hand to paint the trim on its own, I paint the whole model the color I'm going to paint the trim, and, you don't hear the music? Or you do hear the music? Well, anyways, talking about trim. So I paint, because I don't have a steady hand, I paint the entire model the color I'm going to paint the trim, and then I do all the shading ahead of time here, because well, they aren't new anymore, they're new to me. The contrast paints that GW has, they're just transparent enough that you get to see the metallic underneath them, and the shading that you do with the metallic. So it's, it gives like a really cool, here I've got, I have one that I finished here for reference. Whoop, can we, there we go, camera. This is the leader of my Terminators. His name is Caliban. Kit bash from a lot of different stuff. But yeah, I paint the whole thing silver, shade the silver, paint the blue over top, and then paint all the details that I don't want to be metallic white, and then go in with new colors over top of that. But that's just how I do my Chaos Marines. If I'm painting my Genestealer cults, I usually work from lightest color to darkest color. So I'll paint their all their yellows first. I paint their like clothing yellow. And then I paint their skin, which is a purpley color, and then I paint their armor, which is a dark gray / black. And then finally with my Tyranids, the army that I've been painting for the longest, I start with a black base coat on them. I dry brush their like skin, the non like armored bits of them first. I do that with blue. Then I go in and paint their like their all their armored bits, and I do that in a dark brown, and then slowly through layers of dry brush, just being real messy with it, go over it over and over until I lighten it up enough. I don't have one of my Tyranids here right now in front of me, but that's okay. And then I go back in with the blue again, re-dry brush areas that got dirty, like got covered over by the layers of brown that I used for the back, and then do a second lighter coat of blue dry brushing on the skin, and then go in and do all the details. It's just, I feel like you just need to find a system that works for you the best. Like, feel like always experiment. Like, the only reason I even started with a silver base coat on these Terminators is because I ran out of Chaos Black spray, and normally how I, with the earlier ones, I was spraying them black, dry brushing them silver, then dry brushing them again with the chainmail, and then going in with the blue. But now I actually prefer spraying them with silver first, inking them with purple, dry brushing them with a lighter silver, and then going in with the blue. I think it gives a better effect, and it means that the trim ends up having a bit of a shade of purple to it when it's all said and done. You can see a little bit of the purple shadowing underneath, and I think it works really good with the blue-green that I paint them. I have a Tyranid here actually real quick. I'm just gonna paint the shoulder pad and then put it in the camera. Yeah, there we go. That's actually a little too much paint. Ooh, you know what I never grabbed? Hold on one sec. Alright, so for my Tyranids, this is this is the old Screamer Killer. This is the one that's the work in progress right now that I'm working on. So yeah, I have this turquoise that I use to paint it. It's actually a very, very old pot of New Art turquoise. They don't even make this brand anymore. This is a fucking, oh, excuse my French. This is a 20-year-old pot of paint I'm using here that I mixed my own color by adding in some like raw umber and some black and some stuff to sort of like dilute it a bit because it was just too bright. And so I dry brush the whole thing with that first. Then I go in, paint all the carapace brown, and then start using colors like Radisson Yellow Ochre to build it up, mixing it with the various browns and stuff. I tend to use a big pot of some cheaper paint and mix it with GW paints, because the GW paint is, one, expensive, but two, the pigment count is so high that it kind of turns any other paint into a good quality paint if you mix them like 50-50. And then yes, once this is to a point where I like it, I then go back in, clean up all the blue with another coat of this stuff here, and then use some actually like good quality paints. I think I highlight with the with some Privateer press paint, just because I have a lot of them left over from when I used to play War Machine. Um, and then from there, yeah, like you can see I started painting the mouth purple already. I'm gonna go in there with the teeth. And this is the one that's actually more finished, though I still need to base it. And you can see the, yeah, like the teeth and stuff are all done on there. And its carapace ended up being a little darker on this one. I think I actually tried using some washes on this one. I'm seeing a lot of gloss effects, and that's usually caused by using a like a null oil wash or something like that. So I might have actually tried to darken it at various times. I like it when all my Tyranids are like slightly different. I never use like the same mix of browns every time for them when I'm doing their back carapace, and I'll even like remix the blue sometimes. Um, Purely because they're they're like or an organic creature. Like it doesn't make sense that they're not like stamped out of a mold, you know. And so like they all have like slight variations on the same color scheme. For smaller Tyranids, actually I have these Raveners here. So for the smaller ones, I still do the dry brush with blue, but then I go in and immediately hit them with the lighter blue for dry brushing to highlight them, and then I paint their backs. This one's not done yet, but I've painted this thing with a just like a light off-white color kind of thing, and my intention now is to go in and actually hit them with a GW contrast skeleton horde to shade their back. It's just a lot easier than dry brushing a squad with like 5 or 6 layers of different brown paint, and it gets a similar effect pretty quickly. I'll usually dry brush a lighter color over top of it. We got a little too dark on that one shoulder pad there, which I'm a little sad about, but it is what it is. I'll probably go in and just highlight it with some colors, just to try to brighten it up again. I was for organics, a good life hack is use crappier paint than you normally would, because the transparency is going to work to your benefit a little bit, purely because you're going to see the layers underneath it more, and it gives like this like really deep looking like multi-layer thing going on. Like I don't do any detail work on my big monsters. All of this is just done by using where's the brush I use? Ah, this guy. I use a big brush, and I don't even clean it between different colors. I'll just dip it like right into the white paint, lighten it some, and then just go at it some more until I'm just like happy with it. And I do know that my stuff is not like, it's not professional or nothing like that. I'm not gonna win a golden demon, but I get my stuff done quick, and that's the important thing. I want to get all my stuff on the table. I want that battle ready look. Aw. What army do you want to put together next? Ooh. I don't know. I mean, you seem like you really want Necrons. Ironically, Necrons is the other army I hate facing. And it's not for the reasons that people think. Catan are not oppressive. I usually kill a Catan every time. But it's just... I like horde armies. I like having a bazillion little guys on the field. I don't know. That's just how I like to play the game. But it does mean that by the end of the game, I usually don't have much of an army left. And best case scenario, my opponent also doesn't have much of an army left. But Necrons are so good at bouncing back after taking a lot of casualties that by the end of the game, I won't have an army, and the Necron player still will have an army. And then they can just score willy-nilly. I definitely have a problem where I have a habit of just scoring too many points too early on, and then my opponent immediately gets a secret mission, which is how I lost against Knights last time. Because turn 3 will come along, and I'll be like 10, 15 points ahead, and I'll be feeling pretty good. And then the opponent will be like, and now I take my secret mission. And I'm like, oh no. And I do want to get better at the game, but I don't want to do it through, like, spam lists, or, like, just, like, taking the most meta thing ever. Because I fully believe taking an off-meta list is, like, a valid strategy in a tournament environment. Yeah, exactly. What Hermit Druid just said, it's like, the player is way more important than the list, if that makes any sense. A good player can make a bad army really good. Just, like, knowing all your army's strengths and weaknesses, knowing where to spend your CP is really important too. Like, knowing what you need to, like, protect and what you can lose. 10th edition, whoa, he ran off. I see so many YouTubers in the community complaining about 10th and how it has no flavor or anything like that. I disagree. I think we lost flavor back in 8th edition when the game became more competitive and people started taking spam lists. They would take, like, oh, I'm going to take, like, 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts because that is the max I can actually take. Oh, he broke. He's going to have to go in the hospital. The fall injured him. They would take, like 3 of all the best things. And GW saw that and they said, all right, well, we'll just make that a whole edition, basically, of taking 3 of everything. But you can still make a fluffy list if you don't make spam lists, you know? That's my opinion, at least. And 10th edition is actually really good because it's less about if your models are, like, really killy, and more about, hey, are you really good at controlling the board? Are you really good at, like, knowing how to hold objectives and stopping your opponent from grabbing objectives and stuff like that? And that's something you can do with any model. I'm just bad at it. A model drop counter? Oh gosh. Also a model broken counter, apparently. I'm gonna have to glue that little spike back on. I'll probably pin it. I have some very small drill bits. Or I might just cut it off. These Terminators, they're the older kind, so they're less detailed than the more modern ones. But their, like, trophy racks are, like, they were designed to, like, look like they were all, like, coming apart and stuff, just because they're supposed to be, like, old and the Marines aren't taking care of them and stuff. So it's not a broken model, it's battle damage. Oh, a spam list is like, if you you're basically taking all the best, like, you're taking 3 of all the best stuff. Like, say Screamer Killers were really strong according to, like, YouTube metas and stuff. So you take 3 of them. And, like, oh, this tournament player won using aggressors, and so you're gonna take 3 aggressors, each with, like, a captain in it. Heck, when I went to a tournament a few months back, my final game was against Thunderwolf spam. The guy had 3 units of Thunderwolves, so that's the maximum number of Thunderwolf units you can take, and 2 of them had double characters in it to give them, like, sustained hits, lethal hits, this and that, and so many things. And they were just a nightmare to deal with for me. My army was the exact wrong thing to bring against Thunderwolf Cav. And it's like, it's not really the player's fault. It's like Thunderwolf Cav is really good right now. Of course he's gonna, like, if he's trying to win a tournament, of course he's gonna take like 2 units of really good stuff and a third one for backup. But it doesn't feel flavorful, you know? That's what people complain about. They're like, oh, everyone's just taking the same list. There's no customization and stuff. And it's like, Space Wolves have like a billion other units. They have access to all the Space Ring units and then their own specialty units. You say that they aren't good, but all you need to do to really win is control objectives. Or you can play on easy mode and just take 3 units of Thunderwolf Cav with characters in them. Yeah, Catan spam was bad there for a while, but they've their points have gone up so much now. I think it's gonna be hard to do. But yeah, there was a list going around where it was 5 Catan, which is that even I might be like that's too many Catan. Yeah, Gene Stealer cults are actually kind of in the same boat, unfortunately, as World Eaters. Oh, pardon me. Where they just don't have that many units to choose from. We have a lot of characters, but actual, like, units is... Okay, well, for infantry, we have 3 boxes we can buy from GW. We have the Neophytes, the Acolytes, and the Aberrants. Now, the Acolyte box also makes Metamorphs, but model-wise, they are the same models with different arms. So it kinda... Your list starts, like... Just having a bunch of models in the field, it kind of starts looking samey after a while. Which is partly why I'm not super inspired to work on my Gene Stealer cults right now. Which is a shame, because I love them. As you can tell, because my avatar is a Gene Stealer. But I've actually been experimenting using like Necromunda models in the army and stuff to sort of fill in the gaps and whatnot, to try to like make some stuff look different, you know? Ooh. This Terminator's in rough shape. A lot of these Terminators I've rescued from other sources, basically. So like this guy's actually missing some trim. But that's okay. This armor is 10,000 years old. It's gonna have some wear and tear on it. Do, 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 do. Yeah, well, yeah, Knights are kind of in a similar boat, but you do have access to a lot of Forge World models, which is nice. Or, I guess, they aren't Forge World now. Now we call them Horus Heresy models. Like, isn't the Knight Lancer technically a Horus Heresy model? Same thing? part of the lack of unit choices in Gene Stealer cults is why I've been really wanting to get the Brew Brother Auxilia working. But after like, oh god, I don't even know how many games with it in multiple editions, I'm finally giving up on it, unfortunately. It's It's just not good. Gene Stealers live and die on their synergies and holding and being able to like hold points around the board and all that sort of thing with all their deep strike and stuff. And adding a bunch of guard models into there actually just makes it harder. Horus did nothing wrong. Well, he did. Maybe he did some things wrong. But falling to chaos wasn't one of them. Need more paint. You know what he really did wrong? He had a redemption arc. I love everyone. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going on a rant. With everyone complaining about changes to like 40K's lore and stuff with like the Femstodes and everything, I think the biggest and worst change ever was giving Horus a redemption arc. Why does he have a redemption arc? Let him be an asshole. I've got some sloppy green stuff work on this Terminator. I don't know if you can see it, but its shoulder joint's a little messy. But if you notice, I didn't have another autocannon arm to give them for the squad, but I did have this very old Obliterator arm, an old white metal Obliterator arm in my bits box, and so I gave it to him to essentially count as the squad's second autocannon. But yeah, my green stuff work is kind of sloppy around the shoulder. I really had to gum it up on there just to get it to hold, because it weighs like 3 times as much as the rest of the model. That one arm. Dang. I think might be the first time that Hermit is outnumbered by us Chaos people this time. He doesn't have all his Imperial friends around him to defend him now. We can get him. Although it... Oh, no, there he is. I was worried he left there. Hermit, last time we played, you said next time I can use my Alpha Legion against you, right? You made that promise. Nice. We have it. We have it on video, everybody. He agreed. He hasn't gotten to fight my Chaos Marines yet. Ooh, my wet palette is not being as wet as I want it to be. It's probably because of my light. It's drying it out. Well, we did our test stream last time. We weren't able to get it up on YouTube, unfortunately, just because there is a like a timing thing which we didn't know about. But we could do a 3,000 point game next time. That way, you know, we both get a lot more stuff. I'll be using a much more elite army than normal. You can actually board control with all your armigers and like 3 big knights. Could be a big dumb battle. People might like that. I need to decide what to use against you, though. Oh, hello, Tamir. Thank you for joining us. I'm mostly getting these Terminators set up, or painted up, because I really want to give Fellhammer Siege Host another try. I've played it once or twice now. Both times, I have forgotten its army rule because it was new, and I mostly exclusively played the Deceptors detachment, and that detachment's army rule is, you know, a bunch of your stuff gets infiltrate at the start of the game, but after that you don't have to remember anything for it. And so when I was playing Fellhammer, I just completely forgot about the, like, detachment rule kind of thing. It was such a new move. I don't know if it actually cost me the game or not. It was against Necrons at the time, and I went vehicle heavy, and in general, my vehicles were just not actually, like, they were not punching through, like, 20-man warrior blocks and stuff. And it wasn't because the vehicles were incapable of doing it, it was just my dice were against me. I had a Defiler in a fight with, like, Orkin and 20 warriors all game. It was like a 7-round fight that just neither side could do anything about the other. I don't remember who won that fight in the end, but Yeah, it was not something that should have happened. Just my dice were being sleepy. It's going good. Thanks for asking, Tamir. Oh, I went over this Terminator's eye, which means now I have to go over the other eye, so that when I go in to paint the eyes, they will match. Ooh, I said I was fast, but these Terminators are taking a while. There's a lot going on them. Trying to avoid certain details and whatnot to like keep that nice silver, but half the time I'm just going over them anyways, it feels like. Ooh, how's my camera doing there? Come on, camera. There it goes. I think that's the distance it likes. I think I got this guy to a good point with the blue. Or, sorry, Pterodon turquoise. We have to use the GW approved names for the colors. Nope, there's a spot I missed. Do, do, do. Yeah, that's a lot of knights, but that's okay. I have a lot of chaos. Quickly muting myself so I can get a water break. Alright, I'm back from water. Gonna refresh my paint for the next guy. How many more do I got a base coat? Only 2? It's not bad. Then we can get started on like detail work. Because they're already more or less pre-highlighted, thanks to the dry brushing of the silver. I'm sure some Golden Demon painter would be like, ah, you're doing it all wrong. But I'm like, look, I would like to get the squad done, sir or madam. There are some truly incredible painters out there, though. And I know that they are fast. Like, they will speed paint a Terminator in like an hour, and it will look, oh god, it will look so goddamn good. Is that trim stop there? These older models, GW's like actual like model work wasn't as good back. It was, no, that's a lie. It was different back in the day. Some of the details were less easy to decipher, I find. I don't know how old these Terminators are, but I bought them quite a long time ago. Or half of them I bought. The other half are rescues from I actually don't know where. I've completely forgotten at this point. Oh, sorry. I wasn't looking up at the chat. You guys were talking about my Tyranids. Yeah, 3,000 points of Tyranids is about 200 models purely because I am limited to only 6 squads of Termagants. If GW wasn't a coward and would let me take unlimited battle line, then I could just keep going with it. I will also say this about 10th edition. I think in general, 10th edition is better for to like counter spam, like spam lists, because of how like fixed objectives work and everything. An army that does like just try to like um out muscle you with some like really OP units. Like if I spam too many Termagant units, you can just take Call the Horde against me, and that's five victory points every time you destroy one of my Termagant units. If against Knights, who are all vehicles, you can just take Bring It Down. You do need to be able to kill vehicles. Olive, you gotta do that better. But yeah, like, it is. It can be a hindrance taking all of the same unit type, you know? Unlimited battle line. Yeah, that's fair. Unfortunately, I think I only have about 7,000 points of Tyranids. I need to get a second player in here with me. The real problem, too, playing that many Tyranids is the audience would just get bored waiting for my movement phase to end, which would take 3 hours. Oh god, and then Termagants also have all their like out of sequence moving that they do if an enemy gets too close to them. So that's gonna slow the game down. It would be hilarious. We can win through boredom. Variety is life. I fully agree. did end up taking 9 zone throws the very first time against Knights last time, and I don't know. It's 300 points of, yeah, and like vehicle killing power, but I think I really misplayed them. I had them all in the same area, and as soon as like the Lancer got close, it was all over for them. Uh, I need to get better about hiding my models. You gotta finish your Space Marine army then. If you're gonna fight Space Marines against my needs. Or maybe you can borrow a Space Marine army from someone. I know how expensive and how tricky it is to start a new army from scratch. You're blessed to trade in the Knights. I mean, Space Marines right now, I only somewhat keep on top of like tournaments, metrics and stuff like that, but they gotta be eating good because of like the changes to the most recent like data slate. Uh, Basically, if you just take regular Space Marines without any of like the successor chapter stuff, you're getting like +1 the wound against their Oath of Moment target, which is already really good. And then they went and made intercessors have like double the amount of shots they used to have, and I'm like, oh my god, they're like Space Marine gunline is. I'm genuinely terrified of that right now. 40 shots from Space Marine intercessors, all of them re-roll the hit and get +1 the wounds. Yeah, that's bonkers. Oh, we're almost getting into about an hour. I would really love to get these Terminators finished today. That'd be great. Going slow with it though, there's a lot of them. Triple. Oh, damn. Wait, is Hermit getting a Land Raider? Is that in the list? I'm trying to figure out what you guys are talking about in chat there. I mostly got my eyes down on my model, but I occasionally look up and I'm like, what? What's happening? Land Raiders are 100. Oh, okay. No, points wise, I'm like, no, Land Raiders can't be $210 these days. That would, I mean, part of it I can believe it, but I would hope not. They're so, like, model. They're such an old model these days. When I went to that tournament, I actually had a Lamb Raider. Oh no, I swapped it out at the last minute for a Rhino. The original list, though, that I concocted up did have a Lamb Raider in it, and I put 10 Chosen with Huron Blackheart in it, and the idea was to just, like, ram it down the opponent's throat and make them deal with it while the rest of my army is, like, doing stuff. But, yeah, last minute, I ended up changing it to a Rhino to just get more bodies on the field, because, yeah, they're so expensive points-wise. In the end, I regretted not having it because I went into a Necron player that went vehicle heavy, and I just did not have enough stuff to deal with, like a Tesseract Vault. Again, my list was scoring points. I would be ahead come like the start of turn 4 every time, but by the time turn 4 also happens, I was out of stuff to score with. It was sad. I was kind of sloppy on the shoulder pad. I'm going to have to go back in and actually clean it up for realsies. But I think that's the last bit on this guy that needs doing. Oh, no, his hand. His fingies. Here we go. And one last dude. This is 10, right? Yeah, I got 10. Water break. Sorry about that. That's a big water break. Hello, Quincy. You caught me right when I was muting myself for drinking. Do people have New Year's resolutions for 40K in any way? I don't know if people do that New Year's thing, New Year's resolution stuff. Hey, that's funny. That was my resolution too. Make a 40K content channel. So, I don't actually own a AdMech army, but I do play them on Tabletop Sim. They're really neat. I would love to get one eventually, but that's just not in the budget right now. Maybe if I like go and sell a ton of Magic cards, but I don't have very expensive ones. When I was playing Magic, it was all like, I'm just gonna get whatever the cheapest option is that does a similar effect. Need the more paints. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. I know how you got your knights. You sold like 3 lands. I don't got fancy lands though. I wasn't a Magic gal. I just played casually. I haven't played in forever. Gosh. You can't. Yeah. I had to learn that the hard way. I should probably, so like right now, for my setup, I just have like my web camera on an arm and like an office, like a desk lamp, providing the majority of my light. I should probably invest in some better equipment for this if I'm gonna keep doing it. How are people finding the quality of like, just the lighting and being able to see the models and stuff like that? And my weird voice coming through, my weird nasally voice. Have I run out of things to talk about? What New topic. Whoa! Model drop count 2. fuse light bulb? Nice. I'll look into that. My sister's actually, she owns a, like a videographer company, so I should be able to ask her for a little bit of help. This is just, literally, I'm just using the regular setup that I use when I am painting here. The new NIDS detachment? Well, it feels like they wanted, like, to, like, how do I say this nicely? Because it's actually something a lot of people say online, and I don't fully agree with it. But in a case like this, it really feels like GW wanted us to, like, buy some Tyranid warriors. Like, they weren't selling because it's like $90 for 3 models, and they aren't very good on the battlefield. And so they're like, we're gonna make a detachment that makes them really good. But on the other hand, I think it's actually a well-written detachment because it's one of the few that actually, like, encourages more of a like a versatile build to your army. Tyranids have this, they're in this weird place where unless you take invasion fleets, your detachment rule and your detachment stratagems really don't affect your other models except for the ones that are specific to those detachments. Like Assimilation Swarm, all its special rule is purely for the actual, like, harvester organisms and all that thing. Vanguard Onslaught only gives its special rule to Vanguard Onslaught bioforms, so on and so forth. Whereas the Warrior bioform does give you the yeah, it gives all your warriors invulnerable saves, but because it also gives it to the Prime, I believe it can hand it out to the Gargoyles and anything else that the warriors are, like, hanging out with and whatnot. But more importantly, the stratagems are all like target one warrior unit and one endless multitudes unit. And I'm like, oh, I like that. That is encouraging me to play warriors with gaunts. So I think it's quite good. I haven't tried it yet. I was considering using it against you in our last game, actually, Hermit. But I chickened out at the last minute, and then chickened out from the thing I was intending to do, and switched to Endless Swarm rather than sticking it out with Invasion Fleet this time. I don't know if it would have mattered. I really like Endless Swarm still. Unending Swarm. There we go. I'm getting the names all jumbled in my brains. Purely because of that one stratagem that lets you crit hit on 5-ups with your Gaunt squads. And if you take a Tervagon and a Hive Tyrant in there, you're getting the lethal hits anyways. So I was like, I probably don't need Invasion Fleet. I could do this with an Unending Swarm. And I actually think it worked out pretty good. It was, I mean, when push came to shove, I lost because I predicted he had chosen a different secret mission, and I was gunning to try to stop him from completing it, but then it turned out there was another one that I had forgotten about, and he completed that one instead, and I'm like, dang it. But yeah, like, the Tyranid detachments I think are all pretty good. It's just you need to have a certain model collection to run certain detachments. And my army is, what I like to say, is a legacy army. It's real old. It's the first army I started collecting back in, like, 2001. Man, back in my day, you used to get 16 Termagants for $30, and we thought it was expensive. We didn't know how bad things could get. But yes, I have a lot of Gaunts because of that, and I have a lot of Tyranid warriors actually. And so it's like that new detachment is actually kind of perfect for my army. only have like one or two of any of the newer, bigger, fancier bugs. I would love an extra Exocrine. I only have one. The Buffet Hanzo is just too dang good not to have like a second one in there. Almost done this guy. Just gotta get the shoulders, his other arm, and his face done. And then we can start doing... I'll start base coating them for detail work. Your favorite and least favorite army to play against? Ooh. I'm not sure if I have those. I have instead, like, least favorite and most favorite opponents to play against, if that makes any more sense. If that makes any sense. Because 40k players come in a whole variety. I like my oh gosh. I mean, I guess I like opponents like me. I like opponents that want to tell a story with the game. Like, we might not be setting up the terrain to be like tournament, like the, oh, how do you even say that? Tournament deployments? Actually, forget what those, tournament map. And we're like setting it up for something different and more interesting and whatnot. Even if one side has a bit of a disadvantage. Like, I grew up playing 3rd edition. 3rd edition had wildly unbalanced deployment zones back in the day. Like, that was part of the fun. I have a bit of a sprue sticking off of this guy's shoulder pad, so I'm just gonna cut it away while I keep chatting. If I can find a knife here, actually. I don't got a knife here, it turns out. Oh, there, I got it. Haha. My least favorite is, I'm okay with, like, people who want to, like, meta build and power game and stuff. My main problem comes when my opponent is, like, how do I say this? I say this, like, nicely, but, like, they treat their models as they're all so precious to them. Basically, if they lose anything, they start, like, freaking out, and they're like, oh, the game is over, oh, I can't believe that happened, that shouldn't have happened, and all this sort of thing, and they're making a big deal about losing, like, one guardsman squad, and I'm like, my dude, this is a game where we kill each other's models, it's gonna happen, get over it, kind of thing. But, like, there are some players who, you do that once, like, with a bad roll, and, like, that's fine and everything, but I've definitely run into players, like, in the past at, like, GWs and stuff, who are just like, every model is precious to them. This is actually really common in fantasy, because I would play Skaven, and going up against, like, a dwarf player, I outnumber him, like, 10 to 1 or whatever, and one of my Warp Lightning Cannons would get lucky, wipe out a squad of, like, 20 dwarf hammerers or something like that, and they would freak the heck out, like, that shouldn't be possible. That unit's like 500 points. That was like my whole battle plan kind of thing. But it's like, fantasy is just kind of wild that way. Weird shit happens. Like, it's the game we're playing. We're here to try to kill each other. Like, get over it kind of thing a little bit. And I don't know, it might just be a thing that comes with, like, as you get more games in your belt, you understand, like, some of your models are gonna die. But army-wise, 10th edition armies all feel pretty good right now. Hypercrypt Necrons are tricky to play into, just because they get, it's like oh, brain not working while painting. They fixed, like, the main weakness Necrons have. Necrons have, their, like, main weakness is their army is a little slow. Like, their infantry models don't move very quick. Their vehicles are pretty quick, but overall, like, they're not fast. They don't have very many ways of getting assault on their stuff. And so they're often, like, a marching gun line. Hypercrypt means that you can't, as they're killing your stuff, you have to keep worrying about screening them out, which means that you need to like keep your models spread out, and it's hard to like bring a lot of the pressure into areas of the battlefield that you need it, because you need to like hold your back line, or else some Necrons are going to walk in from the board edge. And so it switches the roles of from Necrons being the plotting army to now you're the plotting army against Necrons. So it's tricky to play into. I don't think it's unfun to play against, though. I think it's a really interesting army. Grey Knights are kind of similar in that way too. Actually, I found Grey Knights. I've only played against them once in 10th edition, and it was like that big. It was a big battle against like 2 players. It was Hermit and Nate, who they were like joining forces against 3,000 points of Tyranids, and just the Grey Knights wouldn't die. They were as hard to kill as the Knights, and they did the whole like uppy downy jumping around the battlefield thing, and I'm like, oh boy, this is a whole thing happening now, isn't it? It was pretty funny. I think a Grey Knight captain tanked like 4 hits from a Tyrannofex, just refused to fail his invulnerable save. Ooh, my favorite. I actually like I like playing into elite armies, because I like outnumbering my opponent. Every one of my armies I've chosen the most, like, horde way I can possibly play it. I play Genestealer cults, mostly infantry, so that's a huge horde army. I play Alpha Legion with a heavy cultist support, mostly a horde army. I play Tyranids, refusing to do monster mash, it's a horde army. And even for Age of Sigmar and Warhammer Old World, I play Skaven, the most hordy army of all horde armies. I like being the aggressor in the story. I like watching an underdog rise up over my massive horde of models. And there's just something really cool about the imagery of like a small elite force holding back a tide of enemies. Yeah, Hermit is also saying, yeah, I do a lot of, like, Dungeons & Dragons DMing, and so I do have that mentality of, like, I'm playing the bad guys, I'm supposed to lose. It actually, this is an old story. I love Transformers, I love Beast Wars. When I was a child, I played a lot of Beast Wars in the backyard with my brother. I was always the Predacons. I thought the Predacons were the coolest guys ever. But because the Predacons never won in the show, I wasn't allowed to win when we were playing Transformers in the backyard, like with the little action figures and stuff. And so I got used to losing a lot as a child. I think it was actually pretty good for me because, yeah, in general, it's taught me how to be a good loser. But yeah, it's I feel like that really, like, set me up for 40k, because I don't know if you guys know, but Transformers have, like, stats on the back of all their packaging. And so we kind of, like, even as children, like 10 years old or whatever, we came up with our, like, a sort of like, HP and damage amounts and everything for all of our little guys. So we were kind of playing our own version of 40k, it just wasn't turn-based. It was literally, alright, who's better at, like, manipulating the action figures, because the actual, like, if you weren't rolling the hit, they have their little spring-loaded missile launchers, and so you'd actually have to aim with them and stuff at each other. But yeah, there was one time where I just got really lucky playing Beast Wars, and I had Rampage finally take out Depth Charge for, like, the very first time. Part of what gave my brother all the advantages was the majority of his action figures could fly, according to the show, and the majority of mine could not. So he could hold his, like, 3 feet up in the air, and I had to keep mine on the ground, so I had to shoot up with spring-loaded toy missiles. So it was very hard to hit anything. But I got a lucky hit with Rampage against Depth Charge, and, I mean, Rampage had the highest firepower stat in the game we came up with, and so it just one-shot Depth Charge, and I was like, oh, this is my time, and I immediately gathered up all my action figures and made a run for his base. I still didn't win. I threw the fight because if the bad guys win, the game's over. If the good guys win, you can come back for another go, you know? Cardboard like bases and stuff we set up in the backyard. It was, I don't know, it was really cute. It really was just like proto 40k. Nice. I do love this Pterodon turquoise color. I do know that I have realized that yes, both my Chaos Marines and Tyranids are painted almost the exact same color scheme. But I don't care. Turquoise is a good color. We have another Transformers nerd in the chat? You don't understand. I'm, oh god, am I a bigger 40k nerd or a bigger Transformers nerd? I don't know. They're tied, maybe. You know what? We're doing it. Look who's looking down from on high on my shelf. Beast Wars Megatron. There's more than just him up there, but he's one of my faves. He's a good boy. I do probably own more 40k. If we're going on a model by model basis here, but the Transformers are a lot bigger. So we'd have to weigh the amount of plastic, I think. That's the correct way to find out. Okay. We've got all of the turquoise done on these guys. It only took an hour and a half. Gosh, that's too long. I need to get faster at this if I'm doing paint streaming. I'm going to start now painting all of the details in white. So, this is like their tabards, their eyes, any skulls and stuff they might have on them, that sort of thing. Anything that I don't want metallic, basically, I'm going to start doing in white. Because it's going to provide a very good base coat to work off of with like contrast paint and stuff. Need more white. Not liking this white very much. This is a new pot of White Scar by Citadel. It's not covering as much as I want it to. GW paints are usually better than this. Maybe I need to be using a base white, not a layer white? That might be it. I don't think I have a base white on me, though. So this will have to do. I didn't finish painting this guy's arm in the turquoise. But that's okay. I'll go back in and do that once I'm done the white. Oh, nice. Yeah, I guess turquoise is a natural pigment, isn't it? You just dig it up out of the ground. Hmm. Hey Nathan, look at this. I don't know if you can see it on the stream, but ooh, there's a Dark Angel's helmet on that uh oh gosh, trophy rack. It's got the wing on it and everything coming off the side. One of the wings has been snapped off. I'm coming for you. Hermit really likes his Dark Angels. I feel like part of it too, they got the drip, yes, but part of it too is just I feel like a lot of people pick their Legion based on what Primarch they sort of identify most with. It's kind of like Primarchs have this sort of like superhero-esque vibe in the lore right now, and so it's kind of like, oh yeah, I can get behind what this guy stands for. I'm gonna collect his Legion. And it's actually led to a lot more people playing the like specific legions instead of going with like something they come up with themselves more. Which I think is another reason why maybe people are there are people out there who complain that 40k doesn't have enough flavor. It's partially that GW is pushing the whole like you gotta choose your Primarch vibe and then pick a faction based on that kind of deal. And a lot of people just go with the base one. But it's like, heck, I had one of the players I used to play against a lot back at the local GW. He collected like it was his own army. He was using Space Wolf rules for it, but they were painted to be more similar to like um, Crimson Fists with like the blue armor and like red arms and stuff like that. And it was just, it was nice for something different. But like they were supposed to be like Nordic themed, like Space Wolves. If not, they weren't actually like Space Wolves successors, but they were just Nordic themes, like Space Wolves still. Because of course you couldn't have a Space Wolf successor back then. Do you have a Liberator Assault Group Hermit? Oh, okay, not yet. That's what I figured. I'm like, I feel like I would have known if you had gotten one by now. Because I know they sold out real quick. Ooh. There's a Tyranid skull on here. Actually, wait. I was thinking like, oh, do I gotta paint this like blue to match my nids? But no, this is just the skull. It wouldn't have any of the blue on it, so I can just paint it white and then hit it with the old contrast paints and get it to be that brownie color without having to do a lot of layers on it. Won't look as good, but it's just a detail on. It's just a small detail on another model. Oh, okay. So wait, one's coming for you, is what you're saying. Got one on the way. A Liberator Assault Group, that is. Next time I do one of these, I should probably focus on less models. Doing a 10-man group is taking too long. I don't have a specific time when I want to end this, though. I'm probably just going to keep going until I run out of viewers. Yeah, Hermit saying he had ordered the Inner Circle Task Force box. But they took you off the order? Am I understanding that correctly? That they, like, canceled the order on you after you had ordered it? And yeah, 2 hours sounds like a good time to end the stream for now. You know what? I'm just gonna focus on this one Terminator then, and we'll get it fully painted to its final thing. Got half an hour. Yeah, so Hermit's just saying that he had ordered the Inner Circle Task Force, but they like GW canceled the order on him. And unfortunately, that is something that GW has learned. It's learned behavior by watching Hasbro. Because Hasbro has been getting really into that whole, like, we gotta make it rare so that people want it more. And GW could be printing off as many boxes as they want. It literally costs them $0 to print off the model, like, or to make the models once they have the molds done. But if they make it like, they, you know, put a false sense of like you're missing out vibes in there, they can make more money off of people because people will just order it because of the fear of missing out. Which is a little shady, but in today's like market with the amount of stuff that some companies do, it's kind of unlike, it's not that evil. I can't believe I'm defending GW on a public stream. What the heck's wrong with me? Oh, I gotcha. Oh, okay. Never mind. It wasn't GW, but still, though. It was the local game store. The store that shall not be named. They are maybe evil, actually. I've heard some stories from them. Okay, got the wipe done. Let me just clean up the arm that I missed. I haven't had the biggest problem with that particular gaming store. I don't know if I want to like name them by name. But Hermit's complaining about them in the chat. But I have heard plenty of stories, and I know that they can be very rude to customers who don't quite know what they're looking for. But like, as someone who has worked in retail, you can't just have a bad day and it might color the entire like vibe of your store from that point onwards. Or you just even go as so far as you like, you just make a mistake one day, and you know, now that's how the community sees you. Retail is a hard gig. Alright, that arm is now cleaned up. Just thinking what colors I want to do everything. So here's a tip to help like separate different kinds of metal. You can actually use contrast paint, like something like Skeleton Horde or Agrax Dunes, to sort of make a like more of an antique looking metal on stuff. Just really water it down so it acts more like a shade than a contrast paint. just a tiny bit. Just in the on the grooves on its on these power claws here. Save all your bitchiness for work. Lovely. Look, just working in customer service in general, it is not an easy gig. No matter what you do, customer service is just, it's rough. Actually, I need more skeleton horde to start painting all the bone and tusks and stuff. Not sure if I'm actually feeling skeleton horde on this guy. I'm gonna wait for that to dry and try maybe something else. It's a little too light for my liking. I think I might do something different there. But he's got a little skull next to his loincloth, which can get done in skeleton horde, like so. And we'll at least get some paint on the Tyranid skull with skeleton horde, since that's supposed to be like an off-white. Huh. I might have to turn off the music. I think I'm getting content warninged. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll check it out after the stream. Oh, I missed the music though. It is skeleton horde, indeed. So spooky. Spooky, scary skeletons. Yeah, we're gonna go for another 15 minutes here, and then we'll shut her down for our first try, and see about figuring out why am I getting a weird warning on the dashboard here. I'm learning. Alright, we got some skeleton horde on. Only thing is now I gotta wait for it to dry before I can paint his like little loincloth. So maybe I will start getting the white done on another one. Actually, no. You know what? Ooh, what color to do it? I've been painting the majority of the power weapons in my army with like Doomfire Magenta. Think I might do the same thing here. Once again though, I am going to start with white. I am still I am still broadcasting though, right? It didn't shut me down, did it? That'd be really bad if it did. And yeah, I didn't think this would be copyright because it's like just up on YouTube for free. But I think the algorithm got upset with me there for using it. It wasn't the channel flagging it, it was just the algorithm giving me like a warning or something. But that's what I get. More white. Okay, we're still audible and visible. That's the important thing. Unless I get too quiet. Oh my god. Now, without the music, I'm here alone with my own thoughts. So you guys know that back during the Great Crusade, we had breacher squads, right? Cool space marines with shields. Coolest looking squads in the game. But in modern 40k, we don't have them because they were phased out when they invented Terminator armor because they fulfilled the same role as sort of like a line breaker squad. And originally, Terminator armor was intended to be like the next evolution of power armor. They were going to, basically every space marine was going to have it. And ironically, during the Horus Heresy, it was discovered that like whole outfits of just Terminators were getting flanked and outmaneuvered by like Space Marines in lighter power armor, and they had to rethink the whole like, oh, maybe all Terminators is not the best of tactics. Well, whatever the warning is, it's gone now. So yeah, you know what? I'll do a quick search for copyright free lo-fi. Let's try this one. Got a little bit of music back. The lion wishes to know your location. What? No. Go away, lion. You know, wait. Besides, you know where I live. Just don't dox me. Oh, missed a spot. Man, it's snowing a lot outside today. We got lots of snow buildup. Oh, nice. Yeah, the Tyranid skull up on there looks pretty good. Do I have... Hmm. I don't have access to a good Dark Angels green on me right now, but that's okay. I can start working on other parts of this, like cleaning up those tusks. I'm gonna use a privateer press paint for it, actually. Umbral Umber. They also had their own stupid names for paint. Umbral Umber is literally just burnt, like, raw Umber, though. Ba, ba, ba. There's some nice dark brown tusks, which I can then dry brush a lighter brown to get a good look going. I'm gonna wait for his fingies to dry more. Oh, there's like a little, he has like a little baggie on his back. You know what? Locks it on purple for the baggie and the loincloth. There we go. For like a little tight to reach place like that, contrasts get that job done real good. So some funny paint names. You know what? We as a society lost something when GW went and renamed Snot Green. There was a color called Snot Green back in the day. I don't know what it is now, but it still exists. It's just under a different name that they can copyright. I used to I used to sell GW stuff back in the day. I didn't like I worked at a place that sold like Games Workshop stuff, but I was kind of like managing that department, if that makes any sense. Just because the owner didn't know anything about GW stuff, I was the one who had all the knowledge about it. And it was always funny when customers came in looking for bizarre, and they would ask the owner for bizarre paint names that only I knew, and she would have to be like, I guess that's a GW name. Well, let's go see. Get the Doomfire Magenta out. There was a piece of painting advice in the 3rd edition Tyranids Codex when I was first getting into 40k. The advice was, you don't need to paint the whole model. If you paint the claws and the teeth, that's all people really look at when they're looking at a Tyranid model, and that advice has stuck with me ever since. The idea that, like, those are the areas you should make bright, because that's where people's eyes are drawn anyways, to, like, the weapons and stuff like that. And I mean, even back then, like, Ultramarines are painted with those bright red guns over their blue, so it really helped them stand out. And it's also just, it might not be very realistic, But painting the weapons a nice bright color means that you can tell what they're armed with at a glance, just looking at them on the tabletop. So I've been painting all my, for my Alpha Legion, I've been painting all my power weapons with Doomfire Magenta. Really stands out from the green. I'm going to do some edge highlightings on it once it's dry. No, it's not just going to be the flat contrast. Need to water this down a bit. Slopping it on too thick. Yeah, Goblin Green was the paint that they used to, at first, like, Citadel's paint team would always paint the bases in. Again, I'm getting flagged for stuff. Content ID claims. What the heck's going on here? You know what? We're just gonna leave it off for now. I don't want to get in trouble. We're gonna get some proper music set up for the next time. I'm not messing with the music industry. The music industry has like all the power in that situation. I will try your suggestion in just a sec. I need to get this paint off my brush. Man, I need to paint all my Skaven. I got myself, no, I didn't get it. My boyfriend got me, the Skaventide box, and I have yet to actually, paint them. I started at it at Christmas, but Christmas was such a blur this year that I barely got any of it done. And it's been like just sitting in its box since then. I need to get back to painting them. I love my Skaven. Oh yeah. Uh Absolutely. I'm sure these channels too are also saying like hey, their music's pretty free to use and stuff because it's like it's just up on YouTube. Anyone can like look at it, but it's probably the algorithm just being like, "Hey, I recognize this music." Royalty free. Is that coming through? Let me turn it up a bit. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. All right, this is a an artist who has specifically stated that their stuff is free for anyone to use, so and it's nice and chill. But we're getting near the end of the stream anyhow. Yeah, we are looking pretty good here. Yeah, for this guy. His claws need to dry more. Oh, I put it on way too thick. And I'm missing spots. Gosh. This is your best foot forwards, Olive? No. I like adding I like adding drama to situations, but I really should not be doing that. Okay, let that dry a bit. In the meantime, I can put another coat onto the tusks, like I said. And then I think that will be the end for today. For next time, do people have requests for what kind of model to paint? I do have a lot. Oh, that should have been more of a dry brush. Yeah, you know what? I'm getting sloppy with it. I'm gonna just... So when you put paint on and you really hate what you've just done, just dip your brush in water, clean it off, and then slather it with the wet brush. And what it's gonna do is prevent the paint from drying. Then you dry the brush, and lo and behold, paint gone. Request for next time, use the mic you gave me. Yeah, that's fair. I'm using what I'm used to. Besides, this way I can have the music on in my headphones and it won't be coming in over the mic. But hey, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I didn't get any of the models fully done, but I like where I've gotten to on all of them. I'll probably save these guys for another stream to finish them up, because it probably will take me less than 2 hours to actually get them done from this point onwards. Yeah, that is, I think, where we're going to be calling it. Maybe for the next stream, though, I can paint a Tyranid, or a Skaven, or, you know what? You know who needs to be painted? My Demon Prince. Dun, dun, dun.